In 1999, in Seward, Alaska, Jenna Miller was out doing a training run on Mount Marathon. This grueling 3-mile trail hosts an annual race that draws hundreds of participants. Jenna was planning to take part in it. 200 yards from the top, a hiker named Marlo warned Jenna to hurry. A storm was rolling in. She assured him she would and continued toward the top. Moments later, Marlo saw something in the sky. A bird the size of a small plane. And it was headed toward Jenna's position. Legends of a massive thunderbird are common among Alaskan tribes and have been depicted in native art for centuries. Could these legends be based on something real? Jenna never made it down the mountain and has not been seen since. Inside the vast frontier of Alaska is a mysterious triangle where each year, 5 out of every 1,000 people go missing.
Something out there.
3 investigators look for answers. Jax, a former police officer. Ken, a specialist in strange phenomena. And Tommy, an expert on Alaskan legends. Together, they uncover mysterious sightings and ancient legends, exploring the possibilities of those who go missing in Alaska. The team begins their investigation by exploring Mount Marathon, which overlooks Seward, Alaska on the Kenai Peninsula. They're taking a 2-pronged approach. Jax and Tommy will hike the trail, looking for anything that might explain Jenna's disappearance, while Ken gets a bird's-eye view from the helicopter.
Tommy, did this race start off as a joke?
Kind of a dare.
Yeah?
Yeah, one fisherman dared another fisherman to run up the mountain in a kind of a competitive way. And
according to Mount Marathon folklore, a local man challenged another to get up and down the harsh 3-mile trail in under an hour. The attempt failed, but the challenge has been reenacted yearly since 1915 as an organized race every 4th of July. The current record for the difficult route is just under 42 minutes. But Jenna didn't have the benefit of race day support. Could she have suffered an accident during her training run, from which there was no return?
Well, I don't understand. I mean, this is a massive search for her. You had National Guard, volunteers.
hundreds of volunteers out here.
How she could just go missing like that. You think after some time, you at least find some clothing or bones.
Right, something.
As Ken scans the ravines and gullies of the higher elevations, Jax and Tommy head off-trail to see what hazards might be lurking below the tree line.
Thinking about bears, that's one of my biggest theories. Even if she fell and was hurt.
Always that possibility.
There's a lot of ways that Jenna could have gotten hurt out here, but what doesn't make sense is how she vanished completely. Hey, Ken, you there?
How are things looking down there? Anything unusual?
No, not yet.
Copy that, Jax. You know, we gotta look at all the possibilities. She might have just fallen off. Maybe a bear got her.
But considering that witness's testimony,
There's definitely a strong possibility that the Thunderbird could be connected to this disappearance.
The Thunderbird is one of the most revered and feared creatures of Alaskan lore. Its high stature is embodied by its place of prominence atop totem poles. It's described as a massive bird of prey with a wingspan of 25 feet or more, as well as a hooked beak, curved horns, and vicious talons. Its strength is also legendary, with stories of it snatching whales for a meal. And as its name suggests, it is believed capable of spawning violent storms by beating its enormous wings. In North America, the Thunderbird legend is second only to Bigfoot in the number of reported sightings. A famous case happened in Lawndale, Illinois in 1977, when a monstrous bird snatched a 10-year-old boy and carried him 35 feet until his mother helped rescue him. No one could conclusively identify what kind of bird it was.
What of all the theories of the Thunderbird do you most lean to?
Well, Jack, we got a couple of possible leads here. One is that we're dealing with pterotorns.
Pterotorns were a class of gigantic birds that ruled the skies until about 10,000 years ago. The largest had wingspans of well over 20 feet, with stout, powerful legs and a sharp, hooked beak for snatching prey. They lived for millions of years until disappearing from the fossil record, along with other major fauna at the end of the Pleistocene.
There's another possibility as well. We could be dealing with an enormous, unknown species of eagle known as Washington's eagle. This was documented by the great naturalist John James Audubon in the 1800s. One last possibility is we could be dealing with some type of mutant here or freak.
If it's going to be anywhere, it's going to be here in Alaska. Look at all the places it could hide and food resources and everything.
Keep looking, brother. We'll meet you at the top side. Over.
The mountains beyond Mount Marathon have lots of craggy peaks and hidden clefts in the rock. The team believes this could be a place where large birds are able to roost and remain out of sight.
Damn, Jack, look at that, how steep that is.
Yeah. Look at that view, man.
Wow.
So I think we're about 200 yards from the top. This last spot shoot was seen. How clear that is, all the way out there. It's not like when we were down there at the tree line. This is wide open. Looking around, I don't understand how someone could go missing up here.
Hey guys, I got eyes on you. Just circled around, checked out some of these mountains. It looks like you're right at the spot where Jenna was last seen. How was the climb? Over.
Treacherous.
Yeah, it's a brutal hike, no doubt about it. I can see it from here.
If you can make your way to the summit.
I'm just gonna land on the summit and meet up with you guys. Over. It's actually unfortunate that today's weather is so clear and sunny. Thunderbird sightings are most often associated with inclement weather, and it might help our investigation yield more clues if there was a storm approaching. Well done, gentlemen. Find anything?
No, nothing at all. But you think about it, with all the rains that were coming down, it make the path really muddy, obviously a lot of debris and stuff you could trip over. I think the large rains and all that water, it should expose her body, and maybe she should have been found.
The storm actually supports the Thunderbird theory, right, Tommy?
Some of the native legends say that the Thunderbird creates the thunder and lightning shooting from its eyes.
Most skeptics think it's a large bird, you know, something like a California condor or something like that. Let's give this summit a thorough once over.
Okay. Guys, definitely interested in droppings and discarded food items or things that look like they may have been dropped from the air, right? I know the larger birds like California condors, they actually will fall off of cliffs to get airborne.
It's a straight drop here, guys.
Something like a large bird could fall off this cliff and ride the thermal updrafts.
The rising winds in this area are ideal for birds like the condor, which is known to soar for an hour without flapping its wings, saving its energy.
The body fell down here. Momentum would take it pretty far.
Guys, I know it's been years since Jenna's disappearance, but birds are known to come home to roost, you know? So, I mean, there's potential here that there could still be some evidence. The question is, what kind of evidence are we looking for?
That's just it, guys. We haven't found anything. Kind of leads me to this runaway bride theory. I mean, what if Jenna went missing on purpose? And maybe the possibility this might have been a ruse.
I mean, like, to start a new life?
Yeah, it's not unheard of.
Yeah.
So I want to check with maybe a family member, see if there's more to her disappearance than what everybody else knows.
That's a good idea. Well, you're doing that, Tommy and I'll go track down that eyewitness.
All right.
With the initial reconnaissance of Mount Marathon providing little to go on, the team splits up to do some further research. Ken and Tommy go to meet the key witness, a man named Marlo, who claims to have seen a large bird just before Jenna's disappearance.
Hi. Marlo?
Oh, yes, sir.
Hi. I'm Ken.
Hey, Ken.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Hey, Tommy.
Man, thanks for taking the time to meet with us today. We really appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad to help. I've always felt a little weird about being the last person to see Jenna alive.
Yeah.
And I would love to see some resolution to the case.
So tell us about the day that Jenna disappeared.
There was a storm coming down, and I only exchanged a few words with her. I basically just told her to hurry back down the mountain before the storm hit. She said that she definitely would. She was sweating and tired, but she seemed mentally sound and alert.
So tell me about the sighting you had on the way down the mountain.
I happened to glance up, and I saw this really dark figure flying in the sky. My first thought was it was an airplane. I mean, the wingspan had to have been at least 20 feet easy. But almost immediately, I noticed that there was no noise. And all of a sudden, it banked, and I could tell that it was a bird. It was really dark, and I could see a hooked bill. And as it banked and flew by, I could also tell that there were some really huge talons on the bottom of its tucked-in feet. So it curved back and then flapped its wings and basically just beelined it straight to the top of the mountain. Only later, when I heard about Jenna disappearing, did it occur to me that maybe this large bird had snatched her up or something like that. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen before, and I've lived here for a long time.
Do you think you could draw us a sketch of this bird?
I actually got one better. I've got a video.
What?
Video.
Coming up on Missing in Alaska.
This could be definitive proof that the Thunderbird actually exists.
Plus, how might this ancient fish give the strongest evidence yet of the Thunderbird's existence? And Jax pursues other answers to the mystery.
Is there any reason that you can think of that she would have intentionally gone missing?
Alaska is home to great numbers of large birds. Eagles especially thrive in this vast expanse, which is rich with fish and other prey. But could there be a flying creature much bigger than any eagle? Is there a raptor in Alaska large enough to inspire stories of the Thunderbird, a legendary creature that can control the weather and snatch large animals with its powerful talons? A witness named Marlo claims to have seen such an animal just before a woman went missing on Mount Marathon, and now he's making an even bigger claim.
Do you think you could draw us a sketch of this bird?
I actually got one better. I've got a video.
You've got a video of the bird? This giant bird?
Well, unfortunately, I don't have a video of the day that Jenna disappeared. But yeah, the video.
Marlo's video was recorded by a friend who saw a large bird and sent the footage to him. Could it be the evidence the team has been waiting for?
I had contacted the police, but the police, they just dismissed it and they didn't bother looking at the video. So.
Definitely a raptor.
Yeah, look at that wingspan on that. It's hard to tell how big it is.
Yeah, it's a good-sized bird, but there's no point of reference.
Yeah,
right?
this was, again, it was taken 7 years ago. The resolution isn't as good as I'd like.
Classic raptor, it's just hard to see exactly what that is. I am seeing a kind of a light fringe. I would love to have this analyzed, maybe spend some time kind of reviewing this and
Get it checked out and see what we got here.
Exactly. I've been actively investigating accounts of giant mystery birds for over a dozen years now, so I'm anxious to get this footage looked at, because this could be definitive proof that the Thunderbird actually exists.
As Ken and Tommy download a copy of Marlo's video, Jax goes to meet with Jenna's cousin Stephen. He's curious if Jenna might have any personal motivations for disappearing on purpose.
Steven. Jax.
Jax.
Nice to meet you, buddy.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for taking the time, man.
Anything for the case, right?
Yeah?
It's been 16 years. I'm I'm kind of surprised. I'm grateful, but surprised
Yeah.
people are still interested in the case, so.
As an investigator, I'm always trying to look at all the possibilities of a case, you know, so basically that's why I wanted to pick your brain about things and find out what you had to offer. Is there any reason that you can think of that she would have intentionally gone missing? You know, or trying to get away from something, whether that's an enemy or something like that.
I don't know of any enemies she might have had.
How about her financials?
I don't know, we never really talked about money. She seemed pretty well off for herself. I mean, she wasn't asking for money, but...
Any boyfriends or any kind of abuse in her life?
She seemed really happy. And there's only one way up and down that mountain. So even if she did want to disappear on her own, it'd be kind of difficult. I mean, somebody would have seen her coming through.
Stephen's responses, assuming that they're genuine, are undercutting the runaway bride theory. Maybe Jenna was a normal, well-adjusted girl, and she just went missing because of natural causes. I do appreciate your time. If I come across any leads, I'll be in contact.
Awesome. Thanks, Jax.
Experts dismiss the possibility of any modern bird picking up a human. But Judy Benson believes that it not only happened to Jenna Miller, it almost happened to her a decade ago near Dillingham.
Well, it was early spring, and the weather was nice, so I decided to go for a jog. And I was about 2 miles into my run when I thought I noticed something above the tree line, and I glanced over, but nothing was there. A moment later, I got this really eerie feeling that I was being followed. And I stopped running, and I turned and looked. And that's when I saw this enormous shape rise up above the tree line. It passed in front of the sun. I didn't know what I was looking at. And then I realized I was looking at the biggest bird I'd ever seen in my life. It was as big as a Cessna. That's when I realized it was circling. And I remembered that birds of prey circle just before they're about to attack. So I ran into the woods. I was scared out of my mind. And the bird circled once more and flew away. I waited a moment and I stepped back out onto the road and I hightailed it home as fast as I could. I'll never, never forget what it felt like to be prey to that bird.
With Marlo's video in hand, Ken and Jax meet up to visit Dr. James Cline, an ornithologist who is an expert on local birds.
Dr. Cline?
Hi.
Hi, Ken Gerhard. I'm curious to get Dr. Kline's opinion on this potential Thunderbird video. But first, I want to get his take on the endemic species, the types of birds that are native to Alaska that might explain the legends and the sightings. We're here to gather more information, kind of pick your brain about the history and taxonomy of large bird species, and particularly here in Alaska. What can you tell us about the largest birds in the world today?
The largest wingspan of any living bird known today is that of the wandering albatross. Now, it's got a wingspan of about 12 feet, and it doesn't reside in Alaska, so we're not going to see it up here. The largest predatory bird in the entire world is the Andean condor. So the Andean condor is going to have a wingspan of about 10.5 feet, but of course it resides in the Andes Mountains and on the Pacific coast of South America, so we're not going to see it in Alaska either. The largest North American bird is the California condor. Now that's got a wingspan of about 10 feet, but again, its territory is going to be limited to California, Arizona, and during certain times of the year, southern Utah. We haven't had documented sightings of them up this way.
So what are the largest bird species that can be found in Alaska?
The bald eagle, and that is quite prominent in Alaska. The large females are going to get a wingspan of about 8 feet. So again, we're going to see those throughout a lot of Alaska. But all 4 of these birds just aren't likely to be able to carry a person.
Is it true that eagles can only pick up about 50%, about half of their body weight?
Yeah, about half is pretty accurate.
Yeah, well, definitely not big enough. Are there any chance that Teratorns are still alive today?
It's highly unlikely, but there is always the possibility, we've seen it throughout history, is what's called a Lazarus taxon.
A Lazarus taxon is a species thought to be extinct that was then found alive. The most famous example is the coelacanth, believed to have died out 65 million years ago, until a specimen was found near South Africa in 1938. Could the Thunderbird be a Lazarus taxon teratord that's still hidden in the wilds of Alaska?
I do have one other thing, if we could bother you for an expert opinion on a video that we're trying to get analyzed.
Oh, sure.
Can you tell us what that bird is?
Let's see. Oh, that's a nice looking specimen.
So, can you tell us what it is?
Still to come on Missing in Alaska.
This gigantic bird is carrying a deer.
A look at the largest flying animal of all time. Plus,
see these ripple patterns here?
Could the flapping of massive wings be the cause of these bizarre weather patterns?
Wow, that's wild.
The vast state of Alaska is 1/5 the size of the continental U.S., but its population is approximately the same as San Francisco. With so much untamed land, the Alaska Triangle has the highest rate of people going missing in the country. Could one of the causes be coming from above? Flying creatures with 40-foot wingspans are not fictional. The Quetzalcoatlus, the largest flying animal of all time, was this size when it roamed the skies during the Cretaceous period. Could there be a similar creature alive today? Legends of a massive thunderbird are well known in native folklore. And a modern sighting could be connected to a runner vanishing from a mountaintop. A video of just such a flying creature might answer if the Thunderbird is real.
Can you tell us what that bird is?
Let's see. Oh, that's a nice looking specimen. It appears to be a turkey vulture.
Are they native to Alaska?
They're not native to Alaska, but with their ability to travel vast distances with relatively little energy expended, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. They could make it up here.
I'm honestly not surprised that this bird is a known species, but Marlo did say that it was smaller than the bird he saw when Jenna went missing. So maybe these are different animals altogether. And this video does prove one thing. Large birds can be active here without people realizing it.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in.
Judging the size of an airborne bird can be difficult. But Carlos Diego claims to have had a Thunderbird sighting in Sterling that solves that dilemma.
It was a clear spring day outside. I was in my driveway replacing a battery that had gone bad in my truck when I heard something off in the distance. I looked up and I saw something. I figured it was just a small bush plane, but I looked closer and I realized this thing is not a plane at all. It was moving like a bird. So I started thinking it has to be much closer than I realized because there's no way any bird is that big. That's when I noticed that it was carrying something. People don't believe me when I say this, but this gigantic bird is carrying a deer. I was terrified, but I couldn't move. This thing flew right over me, and then it was gone. I've never seen anything like that again.
After determining that Marlo's video was of a known species and not a Thunderbird, Jax and Ken go to meet with Tommy. There's still a chance Marlo's earlier sighting on Mount Marathon was of a larger unknown bird, but the team will need more evidence to consider the Thunderbird as a possibility.
Hey, bud.
Hey, guys. How's it going, man?
What's up?
Well, I've been looking in on finding a connection on the Thunderbird and storms. And a lot of the stories that I'm reading about the Thunderbird, that the Thunderbird supposedly is flapping its wings, creating these storms. So I went over and checked out the NASA database, the day Jenna went missing, and some interesting stuff here. Check this out.
Oh, wow.
See, this is the Aleutian down here. We got these cloud systems here. It's coming in off the Aleutians, heading right towards Kenai Peninsula. There where Seward's at. Get the next one here.
Look at that.
Wow.
See these ripple patterns here?
That's wild.
Got a direction there and another direction here.
Looking at these images, I can't help but visualize the giant flapping wings of a bird creating these waves in the clouds. Obviously, I can't say that's what it is. But based on the legends, I have to wonder if there's a connection between storms like this and sightings of the Thunderbird.
Well, it looks like sound waves rolling through the clouds.
Yeah, almost like something is out there creating a pulsing structure out there.
I think we need to find an expert on the weather, a meteorologist.
Yeah, because this is beyond me. I have trouble believing that a single animal could be affecting the weather like this, but something very strange is going on. Maybe a swarm of animals is causing this, or maybe it's man-made somehow. But either way, it's worth investigating.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Just ahead on Missing in Alaska,
I felt like a mouse in the woods.
a new exploration of Mount Marathon becomes a race against nature.
I'm seeing that dark mass approaching in the distance over the ocean.
Alaska is known for its extremes, from its mountains to its weather. Could there be an extreme animal, a thunderbird, capable of creating storms with the flapping of its wings? The team wants to learn more about the bizarre cloud patterns that occurred near Mount Marathon on the day Jenna went missing. They meet with geophysicist Gary Hufford, who has helped them on previous investigations.
Is this your guy?
This is Gary. Hi, Gary.
Well, hi, guys.
Good seeing you again.
Same here. You got some interesting case you're looking at?
We do, actually. We're investigating a story of a missing person.
Okay.
The first week of July, years ago during springtime, up on Mount Marathon, a runner named Jenna disappeared on the mountain.
Without a trace.
The day that Jenna went missing, there was a storm that was brewing and had blown in, and we actually were able to get some satellite images of that.
Oh,
Here
excellent.
to have a look here.
We'd appreciate your expert opinion, Gary.
This is really a neat picture because, oh, now that picture is incredibly interesting because we only discovered that in 2006. These are called mountain waves.
Mountain waves are caused by a rush of wind hitting a row of mountains where a column of stable air sits on the leading edge. The push of the wind compresses the column upward, forcing the air to condense and create a cloud. When the air descends on the other side of the mountain, it resonates like the bouncing of a spring, forming clouds during each subsequent compression that look like ripples in the atmosphere.
Mountain waves, you've got massive turbulence, you've got extremely strong winds. These occur often enough that if we have a storm coming in, it's an opportunity to look for these kind of mountain waves. And in fact, I saw these clouds this morning in Cook Inlet.
That's significant. Gary's explanation seems to rule out a Thunderbird creating these storms. But the bird Marlo saw was riding the front of one. And if there's a similar storm rolling in, that's something we can look for. I think we need to get up on that mountain, see for ourselves.
I agree.
Well, thanks for your time, Gary.
You bet.
It sounds like we got our hands full tomorrow.
The team surmises that these unique storms might prompt the Thunderbird to make an appearance. Witness Gary Metzenberg agrees after an incident he experienced in 1998 near Valdez.
When I was younger, I used to go to my uncle's place to split wood for him, just to earn some extra cash. One day, I'd been working for a few hours, and I sat down on a log to take a breather. And I looked up at the house. Flying towards me was this huge bird. I mean, this thing was massive. I'd never seen anything like this before. And I stand up, just in awe, looking at this thing. I cannot believe how big it is. Next thing I know, this thing flies over the top of me, and I'm able to see its wingspan. It could have been the width of a house. I mean, I felt like a mouse in the woods. It could have easily picked me up.
The next day, the team prepares to take advantage of the coming storm. They gear up for a second exploration of Mount Marathon, hoping to experience similar conditions to the day Jenna went missing.
Man, it is brisk out there. Need my crampons, I almost forgot.
Let's make sure we pack our snow pants because it's gonna be hot getting up there, but it's gonna be cold when we get to the top.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. Just going down the checklist. You know, Tommy, if Gary's right about the storm, this could actually work to our advantage. Large birds are often known to take advantage of the thermal air drafts that are, come in the front of storms. I mean, sometimes it's a playful thing. Sometimes, obviously with bigger, heavier birds, they can really use those updrafts to their advantage because it gives them a surge of air that they can kind of glide on.
Yeah.
This can increase our chances of actually seeing some really big birds.
Well, hold that thought, guys. We got ourselves a new toy. On this case, it's very important that we have some good long-range vision. So I combine our camera with some binoculars for maximum zoom potential. So basically, we have our 3x zoom on our camera, and then combined with the 30x zoom on the binoculars. So, roughly 90x magnification. So it's basically a 35mm camera using a 4,000mm lens.
Awesome.
So,
well, short of physical evidence, which is what I'm really hoping for, that we can find some signs of a feather or droppings, photographic evidence of a Thunderbird would be amazing. I mean, we could be talking about one of the greatest discoveries in science. All right.
All right, guys.
With their gear in hand, the team heads out to Mount Marathon, hoping to stay ahead of the coming storm.
There's your bird.
All righty.
You be safe.
See you on the top side.
Ken will once again take to the skies, this time to keep a sharp eye on the weather. Jax and Tommy will hike up the trail once more, seeing if any new clues present themselves.
I know easing into this one. Don't remember it being this steep. We should be able to get a better bird's eye view when we get past the tree line. Hopefully Ken gets a better bird's eye view for us too.
Hey guys, I'm seeing a dark mass approaching in the distance over the ocean. Things are getting pretty heavy out there.
Looks like the forecast is spot on. The horizon displays a huge mass of dark clouds headed our way. It's still sunny here now, but this could get really dangerous really fast if we're not careful.
Up next on Missing in Alaska.
This is brutal.
A slog of a hike
How's it looking down there? Over.
becomes a potential death trap.
Guys, from up here, the weather is crazy.
With a storm incoming, the team surveys Mount Marathon once again for any signs of a large bird.
Hey guys, good visibility right now, but I'm seeing a dark mass approaching in the distance over the ocean. Things are getting pretty heavy out there. Copy that, over.
We're gonna make our way to the summit. We'll see you there.
All right, let's keep moving.
Copy that, Tommy.
Did it just get steeper, or is that just me, Tommy?
This is pretty steep, man.
Come pull over and take a break?
Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm gonna pull out the binoculars, have a look around.
Now, our witness had described a bird that ultimately our expert told us was probably a turkey vulture. And that's not indigenous to this area.
Not at all. I've never heard of turkey vulture here in these areas.
Well, we have some bird that's not indigenous to this area. Maybe that's what's happening.
Entirely possible. 2-3 years ago, a penguin appeared. We don't have penguins in
That's crazy.
Alaska. Yeah, totally crazy.
Just one, or is it?
Just one. It was found in our waters.
Well, I'm not seeing anything right here. Wanna keep moving?
Yeah, let's do that.
As Ken circles in the chopper, where the weather remains clear at the higher elevation, an early precursor to the storm is starting lower on the mountain.
Looks like the weather's turning bad. These are perfect Thunderbird conditions.
This is brutal. So I need to stop and swap out some wet clothes. That was crazy. The weather on the lower part of the mountain has been drenching us, but so far we haven't seen a thing.
All these rock crevices, you'd think would be potential bird habitat and stuff. I'm not seeing anything.
Well, they might be making homes to get out of this weather.
Sure, I'd want to get out of it.
The fact that we don't see birds right in the front of the storm could just mean that we're too early. Or it could mean that birds in this area don't exhibit that behavior. Maybe they've learned these storms are too violent and they go into hiding.
Hey, Ken, you have any luck up there?
Guys, from up here, the weather is crazy. It's changing like every 5 minutes.
Well, the weather's nasty. It's socked in here.
As you know, the weather can change pretty quick up here, so we gotta stay on our toes. Over.
Well, we're not seeing anything down here.
The team hurries to rendezvous at the top of the trail. They know they will have a limited time to scan the surroundings for activity before the full brunt of the storm rolls in. If they're going to spot a Thunderbird, they'll have to do it with enough time to get down the mountain ahead of the violent weather.
Simon, what's with this weather? We're drenched, and now we're dry. Now the wind's picking up.
It's crazy. I just noticed, look at those clouds back there. They're moving in.
We need to keep an eye on that. We don't want to get stuck up here.
Definitely.
Here we are again.
Oh, wow.
How's it going down there?
We're doing okay. We're all dry now, but we were wet earlier. Looks like we might be dealing with some wind and another storm coming in. Why don't you land and come help us out?
You guys okay?
We're good.
Yeah.
Haven't seen anything all day.
Yeah?
No
about
signs. Well, I think while we're up here, let's pull the binocs out and
Have a look,
take a look.
see what we can
May
find.
as well.
Huh?
This looks promising over here, some of these high peaks.
In addition to their binoculars, Ken uses the enhanced magnification unit to watch the horizon. Even with 90 times zoom, he isn't seeing anything yet.
You know, I'm just thinking raptors have excellent vision, so, you know, they're going to take advantage of that to have a good vantage point. They'd be able to survey this whole surrounding area. Maybe up there or up there. You guys heard that?
what was that?
Which way did it come from?
What was that?
Which way did it come from?
And I couldn't tell. It was just echoing through this canyon.
That was the same noise.
What was it?
Guys, that was just a howl of wind coming through the crevice there.
I can hear the wind there, yeah.
That's all that was.
It represents the upcurrents that Thunderbirds would want to ride.
Hey, guys, these clouds are moving in. Wind's picking up, too. With this storm coming in, it'd be prime time to see a possible Thunderbird coming in front of it. If there were a raptor out here of an earlier variation, this is the perfect terrain to find one.
Oh, I agree, man. An ocean of fish for the taking. Look at these vast expanses of land full of hoofed animals that it could nab.
The location and conditions are almost identical to when Jenna went missing, but the team hasn't seen anything, and they're out of time in the face of the coming storm.
You know, it's getting windier. The wind is picking up, and rain's probably going to be coming. We don't want to be stuck up here.
The last thing we want to do is slip and fall and end up off one of these cliffs. It's a very valid theory that that's what happened to Jenna.
I agree.
It's disappointing not to have a Thunderbird sighting after all this effort. But we can't stay up here as this storm moves in, so we have to end our investigation.
As the storm rolls in, the team reconvenes at a local pub to discuss their findings.
This has been one of the most intense investigations we've been on, I would say.
There's really something strange going on here, though. When it comes to Jenna's disappearance, I mean, there's so many factors. There was no places that she could go missing up there off that trail. And then the search after was, you know, an intensive search. So I don't think something would have been missed. It's not like some of our other hunts where we've had searches that were very limited. This one was a very extensive search. The fact that foul play was ruled out. Plus, this is a heavily trafficked mountain. They have that huge race here every year. It really makes her disappearance that much more intriguing.
Suspect there.
Yeah, exactly.
The myths and legends have been around for a long time about Thunderbirds. There are so many things out there that are named after a Thunderbird. Most myths out there are based on reality. You know, could this have been an eagle? They have some big snow owls and other types of hawks out here. These other birds may have been mistaken for, you know, this Thunderbird creature.
They're large, but not large enough, I don't think, to have invoked these legends of the Thunderbird. Well, guys, for me, it all comes back to eyewitness testimony. I mean, here you have examples of credible people that, you know, are giving credible testimony about something they saw that is utterly remarkable. You know, the thing about the Thunderbirds in relation to other cryptids like Bigfoot, where people have like a fleeting sighting, is there are a number of accounts on record that include actual physical attacks on humans. That's not a case of misidentification when you talk about something actually swooping down from the sky and attacking somebody. My own personal belief, after researching this for 12 years and interviewing dozens of credible eyewitnesses, is that some aspect of the Thunderbird phenomenon is genuine. There is definitely something going on here. Now, whether or not that's what got to Jenna, we may never know. But we certainly can't dismiss the possibility that the Thunderbird exists and that it could be responsible for some of the disappearances in the Alaska Triangle.
For now, the question of what happened to Jenna Miller remains one of the great mysteries of the Alaska Triangle. How does one disappear from a mountaintop? It's well known that Alaska is home to many large birds of prey, and some of them show up here unexpectedly.
It appears to be a turkey vulture.
But could there be one big enough to target a human?
It could have easily picked me up.
And stealthy enough to remain hidden in the tumultuous skies above.
You've got massive turbulence, you've got extremely strong winds.
The fossil record proves flying animals of this magnitude really existed. And if native tribes are to be believed, they haven't disappeared completely.
This gigantic bird is carrying a deer.
Maybe this elusive creature is one more reason people go missing in Alaska.